Welcome to Kryptic Soulz, the podcast about all things horror. Sit back, relax, and get ready to delve into the dark abyss of things that go bump in the night. And now, here are your hosts, Jeff Scott, Meg Scott, and Dave Bates.
Hey, welcome to episode 7 of Kryptic Soulz, and I know exactly what you're thinking. It's been 3 months. Where have you guys been? Well, since our Christmas episode, we were lucky enough, at least most of us, to get a nice Christmas package of COVID. That's right. Me and Meg got the Rona.
Yeah.
So that kind of put us on our ass. But we're back. We have a great episode. Hopefully, it's a great episode like they all are. We're going to be checking out the Final Destination series. We figured we'd kind of go little backwards in time and just see how well this has aged, because there is talk that there's a new one going to be starting soon. Tony Todd kind of laid the idea out, and other sources have confirmed that they have written a script. So we'll see if this comes about. So we figured we'll go check out the series again. Meg has never seen it, so this will be a first for her. So it was great. Dave and I have seen it, obviously. And before I get too far ahead, too far ahead, hi, I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Meg.
There we go. Now that we got that out of the way. So, where should we start? Should we start from the first film, or do an overview, or?
Yeah, let's just jump into the first movie and see what happens. And I'm sure by the time we get through all of them, we'll be backtracking and bringing up a bunch of other stuff we missed the first time around. But
oh yeah, I'm sure we'll tie all the loose ends together,
Yeah.
just like death itself. So, Dave, why don't you kick us off here?
nerds don't like to be cheated.
All right, the year is 2000, literally. Final Destination comes out, directed by James Wong, which a lot of people might know. He's from X-Files fame and a couple other horror movies, at least today. I think Insidious. I think he was part of that. He helped write it and all that, because you had Glenn Morgan and Jeffrey Riddick help write the story. Basic overview is a bunch of people survive a horrible accident, quote unquote. Turns out death is real and is trying to kill him in unique ways. That's pretty much it. There really is nothing else to go on, you know?
There's nothing.
It's the most simplest plot ever.
Yeah, yet it was original.
Yeah, like you never saw this before. I mean, it's either a physical thing manifested or not. This is it's like Saw, but without the Saw stuff. And it's almost like everyday things that could possibly happen.
Yeah, just freak occurrences that death may have just nudged the pendulum one way.
Exactly. So, and Meg, you've never seen him before. So what was your first reaction to the first film?
It actually reminded me of, there used to be a TV show back in the 90s called Faces of Death. And it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. With the strange death that it was just a chain to me of one death after another, all accidental, which I thought was pretty cool. At first, I had avoided the movies when they first came out. I thought they were... the whole premise of the movies was just a little bit contrived. It was just like me trying to spit out my feelings right now. It was just like a last-ditch effort, like, hey...
So you're saying it left you speechless?
Yeah. In a way. Kind of. So when I saw all the death scenes that they did and saw the plot of the movie, I thought, okay, this is actually something I can get into. I really loved the fact that nobody really believed the kid, which is like, it's cliche. But
yeah, typical of horror movies, it's like the teenager's like, well, what do you know?
Yeah, what do you know, right? And then, but what was pretty cool was the punch in the very beginning when the plane just blows up. I thought that was
Spoilers.
spoilers. Yes.
If you haven't seen this one, don't worry, it's fine.
Actually, if you haven't seen any of them, because it's been over 10 years since the last one.
Well,
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, the last one came
like
out
2011, I think.
2011, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And the first one came out like almost close to 30 years ago. So.
22 actually.
Oh, okay. 22 years ago was the first.
I know, right? You see
So-
you see the kids now; they're like older. It's like, oh my god.
Well, it depends, because if you watch the first one, it's all in 2000. Or no, in 99. And then
Well-
every sequel they reference, back in 2000. It's like, no, you're going too meta here.
Exactly. No, it was pretty. So I thought it was pretty neat when they did that, and I loved the ending of the first movie too, where the one kid Carter gets smashed by the light, by the neon light. I thought that was pretty cool.
Or did he? We never really did see him get hit.
Well, see, that's
He
what I
might
thought
have
they were going
flashlight
to do.
reflexes, and right when the camera cut, he went.
Well, see, and that's how come I got kind of disappointed with the second movie, because I was expecting to see like Carter come back in some sort of way, and they didn't have that. I mean, they could have gone so many different directions, but they stuck with the unseen evil, terrorizing everybody on this like curse, and I thought it was pretty cool. I have like my favorite death scene out of the whole movie series.
Well, hold on to that one.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about our top 10
Yeah.
death scenes later on, but
Yeah.
we'll just kind of peruse it a little bit and kind of just lightly talk about it. So
Okay.
just don't go too in depth about it.
I'll
You
try
can talk about things you liked, but as far as actual ranking, that's something we're going to try new for this episode. We're actually going to try to do our own like ranking of
A
something.
top 10 list. We have a top 10.
Yeah, because some of the deaths I thought were stupid and extremely they're extremely
Like far-fetched almost.
Yeah.
Like, this is just for show. It's like,
And
really this can't happen in real life. Even though technically it probably could.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, a lot of the deaths were that. I mean, others are so over the top, it's like...
Yeah, they were
Okay.
stretching it. But some of them were funny. Some of them
Yeah.
were like, oh my god.
That's the best part. Like, even in the death scene.
Yeah. Do you guys want to get into those death scenes, though? Or do you guys want to go on your synopsis? Sorry, guys.
We'll just go through like general thoughts, I guess.
Yeah, general thoughts about the movies.
Yeah.
And, you know, like the continuity, like between the first and the second one, it was like a year apart. And they actually had characters from the first one come back.
Right.
And kind of continue the storyline. And I like that. I like that, you know, but the only thing I didn't like from the second one, when that came out in 2003, 3 years, but it's supposed to take place 1 year. Go figure. Is that the main character didn't come back, and the way they explained his demise was like, really?
Yeah.
That's it?
What was it? You got hit in the head with a brick or
A brick.
something.
Yeah.
A
And you
brick.
saw it like in a newspaper article. Like,
Yeah, he's like, when his head got bashed in by a brick. I'm like, really? And what's her face is in Ellie Lauder's character.
clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, not so
That
clear,
pissed
is it?
me off.
Yeah, Clear
Oh.
Rivers. Yeah, she's in an asylum trying to hide from death. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
really? It can't get into an asylum?
I
Why
figured
would
that'd
you
be the
put-
But as
worst
long as
place.
she avoids everything.
Yeah, but she's like in a
Exactly.
padded room in a building, just one earthquake, and that thing's coming down. It's like, hello?
Well,
That
all
would
it
have been a
takes
cool way
is
for her to go.
I know.
all it takes is like just for one orderly to give her the wrong medicine.
Yeah, if she's even taking
Yeah.
medicine.
No,
Or-
I think she was just in there, like,
Yeah.
she was just putting herself in isolation.
Yeah, but I mean, like she was isolating herself. But I'm just saying, like Death could have made his way in there, like through her food.
Yeah,
Her food
all
could
those
have been
newspapers, one little
poisoned.
paper cut, and then there's
Yeah.
gonorrhea or whatever, or no, not gonorrhea. What is it? Gangrene, and then her finger falls off, and the rest of her just deteriorates because it mutates or
Yeah,
something.
gonorrhea is that country we were talking about.
Yeah, in Ghana, do they call it just Rhea, or is it, you know, just like Chinese food? Do they call it Chinese food, or is it just food? Anyways, so yeah, there's just so many ways. I mean, but it's a way to continue the story, you know, and how, like, they don't know what's going on. So it's like, well, we found out all these other things happen, and it's in the paper, so they track down this person. But that kind of leads us to the third film, completely separate from the other two, or so you think. And the only thing that connects them is that they heard about the airplane from the first one. They never heard.
Yeah,
of
they always
anything from
they
the
always go
second.
back to referencing that.
Yeah, they do. Like somehow, like the radio station would be on the flight number, which was like, or like
Yeah, there's
you could say
180
that.
references like,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that also reminds me, like from the second film, is that they also referenced the first film by saying these events triggered like the whole pond ripple effect, like the bus.
Yeah, that
So
everyone that
Yeah.
survived the premonition of the second one were actually saved by people who weren't supposed to survive in the first one or something.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
like why can't I remember her name? Oh, Terry. When she gets hit by the bus, like that obviously causes the bus to stop, so those people are saved from the bus crash that it's supposed to have happened later,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah.
never tell you that,
Right.
But then again, that technically, if they hit her, the bus could have went and blew up somewhere else. But anyways, that's too much foreshadowing. But yeah, they combined that to have those people on there get saved. I was like, oh, you were supposed to die in that bus, so that's why you were here in this one.
right.
In this event, because it's supposed to come and get all these people that the first events caused not to happen, if that makes any sense.
Right.
At least I think so. I'm trying to piece
As
all
you
this
more
together.
simplistically put earlier, the pond effect.
Exactly. Like the ripple got in there, the ripples are going out. And
They had some nice ripples.
exactly. And then now they're coming back to fix itself. And that's the whole thing. Like the ripples in the pond and the multiple ripples in the pond overlap each other, hence the reason why 1 and 2 have similar events.
Yeah, they
bus
were the
is-
most connected, whereas in the later films it was more just references.
Yeah, they reference.
Well,
it's
especially
like-
in 3 and 4, they would oh yeah, there was that freak accident that happened years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And in 5 was slightly connected.
Right.
Yeah. And I think, 2 had to do with the pileup. That's right.
That was the car wreck.
Yeah, it was a car wreck on the freeway. And truthfully, when I first heard about that they were doing the second one with this pileup on there, I'm thinking, okay, how are they going to do this? Because cars zoom left and right and all over the place. And in the first one, they talk about the order that people die in. I'm like, I could probably see that, but how do you really know? What if someone dies at the exact same time?
But they show, or, watching the movie, you see in the second one, the order they die. Obviously, if you're in the situation, you're not going to witness that. So, yeah, for them to piece that together. But as a viewer of the movie, you see the order everybody dies in. But I'm sure I've already mentioned, like, I went and watched the movies for the sake of doing this. Plus, I had a few to catch up on.
Right.
And then I ended up watching them like 3 or 4 times. And I'm almost embarrassed with some of the things I picked up on. But
That's okay.
It's okay.
the death coming back for them in the second one is in the reverse order that they died in the crash.
Yeah.
That's right. Cause
And
it was
I didn't
the-
know that. Every other one, it was they always followed the order they were supposed to go. The second one, they actually reversed it.
Okay, because I
Yeah.
was trying to figure that one out too, because I know the sheriff or the police officer died first from the timber in the tree,
But
and
he
then-
was still lingering
Yeah.
very late in the movie.
yeah, and you could tell in the very right after the accident happens, he's standing there, and then they save him from another van coming by.
Yeah.
So I do see that as okay, that was supposed to happen, but then you don't realize, okay, it's reverse order. He got saved, so moved on to the next guy.
Right.
You don't pick that up right away.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to figure out, okay, from the first one they did it this way.
Well, they actually do mention it in the movie, though, too. They did, because they were looking for a pattern there, and I remember they did mention it's going like backwards from his vision, and so
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
Yeah.
and so.
But my thing is,
They figured that out at the very end, though.
yeah. But the thing about this is that the ones that actually do believe, because there's always that one a-hole that doesn't believe him. It's like, this is bullcrap. This is bullcrap.
Yeah.
I'm in charge of my destiny type of attitude, like from the first.
And boy, does it become more extreme with each one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, see, that comes up to my favorite death scenes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, it's like you got the jerk Carter from the first movie, played by Kerr Smith. He wasn't even that bad. He was just like you could
Carter, you dick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's about the best way. Like that was the best way to explain him.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Because he was your typical high school jock, so he had that attitude about that.
Yeah, and it was almost a believable prick.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the second one, you had the one dude. Oh, what was his name?
What, Evan?
I think it was Evan. I believe that was his name. He was just a jerk. Like there was no reason for him not to believe him other than just like, ugh.
Well, he just like won the lottery or something.
No, that was
no.
That was Frankie, I believe, was his name.
That in two?
I think so.
Nah, Frankie was later.
Let me just check something.
And that's what I mean. The insufferable character becomes more and more extreme with each movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, Evan's the one that won the lottery, and he was like
The fire escape.
the pretty boy.
Yes.
Like, hey, but he's an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, utter idiot.
I was expecting so much more out of that character, to be honest with you.
What, the
For
moron?
the one, no, the lottery winner. Like,
Yeah, that was him.
yeah, what did you just say?
Evan
but
is the
they-
lottery winner, the one that's like, oh, I got the gold
Yeah,
chain, I'm
yeah.
buying all this stuff, I
Yeah.
live in a
Oh,
crappy
okay. I
apartment.
thought you said
Yeah.
something different.
Nah.
But yeah, I expected more from him. I thought, they just showed him as this dumb, really stupid person.
Yes.
And I was expecting, like, I don't know, I wanted to see him to be intelligent. Just so that way it'll make it even more sweet for his death.
I thought it was pretty sweet just because he was a dick.
I mean, he was an utter moron. He's the one that wins the lottery and gets all this money, yet there's other people out there that deserve it more. And yet death comes for him with, because it missed him. But at the same time, it's like,
I would have savored it more if he was intelligent and still acted like that.
well, he's
Then
wearing
I
a
would
gold
be
watch
like-
and sticks his hand down a dish,
I know, that was so dumb.
Just garbage disposal. I'm like, what kind of never mind.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, why? No.
We all know we don't do that, especially with a gold watch. I'm like, are you really? Like, it's gold.
Right.
Why would you even want to attempt that?
But then again, he's an idiot, so that's how I was.
True,
I was able
but
to
it's
go
a
with
gold
it.
watch. You know how much that thing probably was? What is like over $500?
Of
maybe
course,
more.
but he thought he was just so rich that he could probably afford another gold watch. If
Or
that
afford to survive.
Yeah, exactly.
At least use your other hand.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, that's how, but I wanted to see him be, I don't know, like, for him being dumb, and then that happened, I felt actually sad for him.
True. I mean,
I didn't.
I didn't want to feel sad for him.
I felt sad when the fire escape stopped.
I know. I'm like,
I was like, son of a... But, never mind. I'm good.
but then again, the guy lays there and laughs like, I'm like,
Yeah.
if it stops, move, roll
I was
your
going to say,
head.
at that point, I mean, I guess unless you're in the moment, you can't really say for sure. But I'd like to think if it came that close before I had my sigh, I would have just went, scoot.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
a little nudge to this way, ding, ding, ding. You would have been
Like
fine.
4 inches, and at best you would have lost an ear.
Yeah, or nicked, or not even touched. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just that death scene. Like when it stopped halfway, I'm thinking, no, it's too much of a pause. You can't have
Yeah.
that because then you're yelling at the guy like, move. You're like, move, you moron. What's wrong with you?
It was too much of a pause.
Before you could even get the silent E out on your move, he's done.
Exactly, but I mean, just the whole build-up in that movie. Like a lot of these deaths, like, oh, is he gonna get his hand like ripped off and he's gonna bleed out or something stupid?
Yeah, they really piled
Yeah.
up on the
And-
red herrings with each one as
Oh
well.
my
Yeah,
God, did
that's-
they? It's like one after the other after the other. It's like,
Well, that I enjoyed. I was like, oh, so how are they going to kill him now? Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
that would be
Yeah, they give you
cool.
like 6
Yeah.
things to choose from, and then they just bring something from out of left field. I'm like, yep.
yeah. I mean,
I
they,
like that.
They build the tension, but like that one scene, the thing comes down, and you're thinking, oh, that's just a red hair, and then you lose that, and then and you're like, all right,
Yeah.
whatever. He's dead. Move on. Like you'd lose the momentum, in my opinion.
But so well, maybe not question. I don't even know what they count as. But 2 things about the first movie. I was weird about the whole idea of like how much things have changed in the last 20 years.
Right.
Like it was just a nothing thing. Like you
Yeah.
see him boarding the plane, and then you see a woman carrying a baby on the plane.
Like
Right.
it was
And all
nothing.
that. And and then the movie progresses as it is. But I feel like nowadays, if that happened, people would be like losing their minds. Like, what about the baby that was on the plane?
Exactly.
Exactly. It's like if someone says the plane's going to blow up, a plane would not take off. They would check the plane again. They'd have everyone disembark to make sure. They would check all the baggage. Because, I mean, is it like the plane's going to blow up? Okay, well, is there a bomb? Let's check the luggage. Let's do this. Get the bomb squad in there.
Yeah.
Check everything. They would not, especially because this is, like I said, 2000. We all know what happened a year later.
Well, see, but even back
Now,
then...
if it came out in 2002 with that scene, yeah.
There would
well,
been-
first of all, they wouldn't even have done it because it would have been too soon.
Well, see, you pointed out something that just triggered a memory of back in high school. Back in high school, we used to get bomb threats all the time. People would just call in a bomb scare just to get out of class or get out of something.
Yeah, it's
But
And-
they
a
had
test.
protocol, and so we had to go through the motions every time.
Exactly, and this
Everyone
was
stand
in
outside.
and this was in the early '90s when this all happened. So it was even before that movie came out.
Well, 90
so,
to 96, actually.
yes. So if you have a kid sitting there saying the plane's going to explode, they would take that as a bomb threat, and they would check
Yeah.
Because the way they
plane
treated him
thoroughly.
immediately afterwards. Like
Yeah.
you were saying, like, oh, nobody believed him. No, nobody believed what he said,
Right.
but everyone believed that he had something to do
Do with
it.
it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's like, what, did he... But yeah, he would have been in security right like that. They wouldn't even let him be sitting out in the lobby. They wouldn't just kick him off the plane. Like, they would have radio control, all this stuff, and be like, nope, we got it, nope. Doesn't matter what the captain says.
You can't say bomb on an airplane.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't say bomb or president in an airport.
Even before September 11th, you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And the other, I've always noticed it, but for some reason, the last time I watched it, really bugged me. Like, so when things start going wrong on the plane, they kept focusing. What were they, marbles, or I thought they were like Whoppers. They kept
they were
focusing on like
Whoppers.
these little dark things rolling up and down.
Yeah,
I don't
someone
know if
dropped
it
their
was for
Whoppers.
dramatic effect, or
Yeah.
maybe it was somebody had an accident and there were little turds rolling down the aisle right when the
Someone-
turbulence.
Who brought the rabbit on board?
Like, yeah, like what was I noticed it every time, but the last time I'm like, why are they focusing on that? Like, is that going?
Maybe
Is somebody
it's
going to
just-
trip on a marble or?
Or maybe that's one of the things that maybe a marble got in, and that's what caused hydraulic or something. I don't know. I mean, they really didn't. They explain it later, but they never show you.
Yeah,
They
it
just
was like
know it's-
something. You know, they did like the digital recreation on the news or something.
Yeah. So, but they never say what caused it. But
You know,
anyway,
2000 CG. And actually, you were mentioning about drawing a blank on the name, the guy who wrote it and everything, like being from the X-Files. Like, did you guys hear? Like, it was actually It was originally pitched as an episode.
yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
And they were like, whatever. And then down the road, it was like, anybody got any scripts? He was like, I got an idea.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a good FU
So-
to them.
Well, they passed on an episode. They could have been in an episode
Yeah.
where Mulder and Scully go after Death, and that would have been really cool. But
That would
And
have
until
been
I
really
heard
cool.
heard about that, I didn't even like realize like the cops in the movie. I'm like, oh yeah, that was definitely supposed to be
Mulder
and Scully. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? I take back that big FU. You know what? It was.
Oh,
a good-
thank you.
No, it wasn't to you. It was like more or less like I was saying, like, oh, he's saying doing that as an FU to them, and it became nice and big, and I was like,
Yeah,
got
it's
the
not like-
franchise after it. And then I was like sitting there thinking to myself, well, we wouldn't have that franchise if they just if they
passed
did
on it, yeah.
And
or
it's
if they
not
didn't
like
pass on it,
X-Files
they-
was hurting
they
for
took it.
ratings at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, they were fine. They're fine. It's only until they made their second movie.
And
that
you know how many
suddenly-
pitches there are for shows like that.
Exactly. So it's
Yeah.
just an idea he probably had in and out, but then he expanded it to a movie, and it's like, all right, here, this works. Especially at the time of
Yeah.
the
So
teen
let's do the
films.
exact same thing and recast it every time.
Exactly. Well, it came out right after Scream, if I remember, because Scream came out in '96. So it was like, okay, how can we have more teenage stuff like this? And 2000 was like the transitional period between movies when you really look at it. You can definitely see.
Yeah, it was kind of the peak of the meta phase of like slashers
Exactly.
and things like that. And
Well, that, and then you got like Lord of the Rings coming out, so you see this like almost real world feel to it when they had that coming on. So it's like, oh, how can we apply this to other things here? That's why, like, the remake of the first Texas Chainsaw came out. It had kind of a realistic feel.
What's that? The McConaughey one? You mean?
No,
Or the more recent?
No.
I want to see the more recent one.
No, the one
Was
with
it bad?
R. Emmett.
The brand new one? I haven't seen it yet. I was probably going to catch it
It's
this
not
weekend.
too bad. I only saw half of it.
5 minutes after it came out, it was already divisive.
Well, everyone's like, oh, it's like Halloween Kills. It's like, oh, evil dies now. I'm like, no, moving on. Anyways, but because it's supposed to be a sequel to the first one. I mean, this is like real off the topic, but it was a sequel to the first Texas Chainsaw, ignoring 2, 3, and 4. Everyone ignores 4. That's the Matthew McConaughey Texas.
That was
Chainsaw.
the Next Generation.
Next Generation. Yeah, Picard's nowhere in there. I don't get it. I mean, it's just, what the hell? I can see Worf there. It's like, Captain,
Hi, I'm Data. All right.
all right.
If that actor had actually been in that movie, I would have laughed my ass off because that would have been hilarious. Anyway,
Brent Spiner is the new Leatherface.
yeah. But anyways, back on point here.
All right.
Yeah, so it came around that transitional period when they're trying to do more teen horror movies, but obviously they wanted something original, and here you go. Dust off the script. Hey, how about this? Perfect. Do it. And I think it was like $3 million they got to make it. I mean, it was, it's low. These horror movies are low budget, so
Yeah.
they don't have to throw a lot at it. That's why they make so much. Throw some blood on somebody and be like, okay, money.
Yeah.
Can you scream convincingly? All right, you're
good.
cast.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of those effects that they used were really practical effects. A good majority of them. When you think, explosions and everything like that. Obviously, I think they, CG most of it. But
And actually, speaking of realism, like that was it was probably the most realistic part of that first movie too. Like shortly after the crash and all, and then you see Alex in his room, and he's like looking at going through, was it on the computer or through the yearbook where he was looking at like pictures of Clear, and then he's immediately inspired to pull out a penthouse.
oh yeah,
Like,
and then things start happening. Like a little draft comes in when the windows are closed, and then
and then all of a sudden he ends up with Todd in his lap.
yeah, I mean the magazine hits the fan. One of those old style fans is just. I'm like, well, one, that would not happen.
Yeah.
2, okay.
I tried. Oh,
Supposed to use the magazine in the fan, Dave. Okay. This doesn't feel good.
this is so comfortable.
Anyways, and then just little Todd floats down. It's like, I wonder if this means something. I'm like, yeah, call your friend, dumbass.
Exactly.
All you have to do is just ring him like, hey, I just want to make sure he's okay. Even though the parents didn't like Alex, that's his name, right? Alex?
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that.
Oh yeah, they did because they weren't allowed to hang out.
Yeah.
Like afterwards, the parents are like, "No, you
Yeah.
ain't hanging out with that freak anymore." I know he's been your best friend forever, but
And my thing about this is, like, you could tell the parents were very supportive of him and everything. Why he didn't just go to his mom like, Mom, can you call so-and-so's mom and just make sure Todd's okay?
Yeah.
Have the parents do it. They're not going to say, screw you, parents, you're not allowed to tell.
Well, I still don't understand any of that because he still ultimately saved their son, if you think about it.
True, but
They saved
the
his
way he
son's
did
life.
it, they think he either
well, because Todd's brother
Right.
died on the plane,
yeah,
Oh.
he was blown up.
so they were grieving and weirded out.
Yeah, exactly. And
That's true.
which is funny because that actor that played Todd's brother was from Roswell, the TV series that came out at that time.
Oh, okay.
This, I think, was his first major film. I think, don't quote me. And he has this short cameo in there.
Gotcha.
It's like, hey, why don't you go make sure he's okay? Okay. I'm like, I was excited to see that because I at that time in 2000 I was watching Roswell, so I love this series and everything naturally because teenager at that time too. So here I'm like, hey, he's in a movie. Hey, he's making it. Never mind. Okay, he's not going to be in this. So, but anyways, but no, they keep Cara Smith from Dawson's Creek. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, that's believable. Yeah. So anyways, so
yes, Ali Lauder, Penthouse.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
was totally believable.
Yeah. So 1 and 2 had the connection, like major connection to each other.
Yeah.
But then they go in 2006, decided to do number 3. really no real connection to it. Like, I don't even think it had Tony Todd in there. No, he was.
He was in as the voice for the ride.
Yeah, the voice. That's right. And they decided to go a different route this time. It's like no real premonitions in a sense. It's mostly the major premonitions, but pictures. Okay, we have pictures. I'm like, I didn't mind that idea. I just thought it was a little far fetched.
And that's weird because, I've listened to other reviews and I'm like, why are people tearing apart, like, the physics and how realistic all this is? It's like, no, this is not intended to be realistic at all.
No.
But the few nitpicks I have, I'm like, well, that would never happen. And it's like, I'm doing what those guys are doing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I get the idea. It's all fantasy and everything. Where I was coming from is that, like, okay, your evidence is right in front of you, where the other ones, it's like subtle.
Well,
it was just subtle coming at you. It's like, there's like, hey, I'm just trying to give you a little hint, and that's it. It's almost, but at the same time, I kept thinking to myself, and other movies I'll talk about this too, is that you got death trying to come for these people, coming back. Is there something else doing these premonitions to subtly tell people, hey, it's almost like life itself is alive, and there's death, and they're competing with each other?
Now that's a very great concept that I don't think the Raiders are actually playing with. They never
explored it, no.
Because they didn't explore it. It's something, I think, in what really helps you suspend the reality of everything, the deaths and stuff.
Hard drugs.
No, is the enjoyment of the movie. If you're really enjoying the movie and you really like the concept that's going on, you're not going to nitpick it that bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a popcorn film.
You're just going to accept the deaths as is. You're like, oh, because that's what I wound up doing in the first one, because I got vested into the story. Here, like, there really wasn't much of a story, I don't think. I don't think it was anything more than let's just show these crazy deaths.
Yeah, 3 they didn't beat around the bush. It was like this happened, and then after that it's just like kill, and
exactly. Yeah. Like, there really wasn't a story. Like the first one, they're going on a trip, they're doing this. It's this whole big senior trip thing. Like, you had this, their life in front of them, so they have this thing going on. Second one, kind of around the same thing, but it's different people. Right. Like more adults mixed in, not just the teenagers. This one, they went back to the teenager thing and tried to do this, but there's no, I'm a senior, I'm going to go do this or do that or this.
But you know what? That movie has my favorite death scene, though.
Oh, that's cool. Hang on to that one. Hang on to that one.
And, I mean, for me, the best, one of the best parts that makes it rewatchable for me, number 3, is Ramon Flowers.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like, I had Mary? I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, she looks really familiar, and just she threw a look in one scene.
Winstead.
I'm like, change the hair color.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, well, this makes more sense for her travel in.
Yeah, that's why she was. Wow, we all forgot the word.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Drifter.
Yes. Drifter, that's
it.
I know there's a better word for it, but that's the best I can come up with right now. But yeah, that was the one with Frankie, and that's another
Frankie
character.
Cheeks.
That's another one that would not exist, and especially in like the whole Me Too era.
Exactly.
Like he was. That's as close as you can get to assaulting someone without actual
definitely
physical
Yeah, exactly.
I can't even imagine at that time, like, because what was that, 06?
Oh, this was 06, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even think even then, like, someone would possibly get away with talking to him. Don't get me wrong, I was laughing my ass off.
Yeah, he's just the comic relief. So
like when he was doing it, but it was just like, that is so blatant.
Yeah.
I mean, when he died, no one's like, whatever. So, but there's different things.
It was one of the more satisfying ones.
I think that's, for me, that was a red herring. For, like, I was expecting him to be killed just by somebody getting so angry at him.
That's what we thought. Like, at first it was, but just the whole setup for that was kind of like, okay, the dude backs up the truck into another car,
which
and they're
that's
honking
something
the horn,
I needed an explanation.
and it's like, how can you not No, like, I can't back up anymore. What's going on? Am I hitting the building behind
And there's
me?
people screaming
Yeah.
at me.
Then you have a runaway truck over here coming towards you, and I'm thinking,
Like that I could even believe. But why a driver in a truck?
yeah, and this is
Yeah.
a drive-through, and I'm thinking, now, yeah, we're talking about suspension of disbelief, which is great. I mean, this is directed by James Wong, too. He came back to direct this one. 2 was directed by David Ellis. So, even though...
Yeah, I think they kept switching back and forth, at least for the first 4.
Yeah, actually, David Ellis also... Yeah, him and Eric Brass wrote the 4th one, and, yeah, Ellis directed it. So, yeah, he did 2, and then he did 4, and then
Wong did 1 and 3,
and somebody else did 5. Stephen Quayle, I believe his name is.
Oh, okay.
But we'll get to that. But yeah, I mean, that whole setup was just like, wow, talk about forcing it. It's like, here's a truck, and nobody else in the parking lot or in the restaurant honking their horn, screaming, banging on the walls. Someone's going, hey, I wonder what's going on out there.
Yeah.
Nobody? Seriously? And
Did
then
they establish that somebody was in that truck, or was that another haunted truck?
no, there was
That's-
somebody in the truck, and he's just an idiot, I guess. But
Yeah, like I said,
he was just-
I could buy like the driver, like the one that came down the road. I could almost buy like,
Yeah.
the driver fell out or something, and it's a runaway truck. That
Yeah.
I had no problems with.
Or even better yet, the driver there, he has a heart attack and like passes out or something, or even dies for all we know. That could have been something. Then the truck's just barreling down, and then the idiot in the car like didn't put on the emergency brake, and it rolls backwards as he goes in to get a burger because
Right.
But plus also the fact that Frankie does not turn around to see who the hell's honking at him, just gives him the bird, and just keeps going on his way.
Yeah, that's
For the way
realistic.
his character was, I could buy that.
Okay.
I don't know.
And that was one I was kind of conflicted with, the death. Like, after the fact, yes, it was satisfying that he went out so horribly.
But-
And I like how they even called out afterwards. She was just like, yeah, that was a bit excessive.
But at the same time, they got out of the car,
Yeah.
and then the other car barrels in, and the whole engine comes flying out the way it did. No.
I mean,
I know it's
completely
suspense,
insane.
but it's just like, and it's still running. I'm like, no.
No, it
They
wasn't.
couldn't
It
get-
just got one last, like, death rattle
Yeah.
out of the motor.
That's the thing. It's disconnected. It's like, there's no way. There's no way. I'm sorry. But at the same time, we're
That was a spring
suspension.
that wasn't completely unwound.
Probably.
Yeah,
I don't
there
know.
Like I
you
said, finding out that happened to him was great, but I feel like it did take away a little bit that you didn't realize it was Frankie till afterwards.
Yeah.
Like it was just some asshole in front of them
Yeah.
in line, and it wasn't until afterwards they're like, "Oh yeah, it's the scumbag."
Yeah. And I'm trying to refresh my memory why Frankie didn't move out of the way, because here's this thing that comes in, and if I remember correctly, it doesn't start right away. I think it comes out, and wasn't it the airbag the thing that pushed him back, and then it went.
Yeah.
No, it was because originally I was, that was one of the scenes I had to rewatch just because I thought it was something like that too. But no, it was just when they revealed that it was him and he's just there, and then he just got one last spin out of the fan, and it just took the whole back of his head off.
Oh, but he was already dead by then.
Yeah, he was like
Okay,
dead.
so-
Like the motor was
Oh, that's
in
right.
his
It's one
skull.
of those little jump things.
And then
That's
when they
right.
focused to him, it was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm giving visuals because I know that's what everybody out there wants.
Well, plus also they want to know what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense. I know there was something with an airbag, but okay, I remember now.
No,
That's
we'll get there.
yeah, that's
Oh, no,
that's
wait,
4.
no,
That's 4.
Was it 4 or 2?
4. I think it was 4,
Um,
if I remember correctly. Something forces
no,
the person.
it was 2. Well, if we're thinking of the same airbag,
Probably. Well, refresh my memory.
in 2 it was, I think it was Cat. That's when they went off. They veered off the road, like out into the field and everything, and then they crash, and then like the PVC pipe comes up and just misses her.
Yeah. It's
Like,
like, oh, thank
yeah.
God.
And it went across her lap and all, and then they come in with the jaws of life and everything to break her out, and they bang the door, and it triggers.
That's the one I'm
Thwack.
thinking of. That was number 2, or was that number 4? I think that was
That-
4, because that set up the gasoline trickled down the PVC pipe, and actually, because her
Yeah,
death.
that was on 2 because I was at the
What's that?
hospital.
Okay, then
before what's her name threw herself in the lake in the ambulance.
Yes. Okay. Now I remember.
Like they were
Okay.
on the way to the
Yes.
ambulance for the baby thing.
That's right. That makes more sense. Okay. So the 4, I'm thinking of a different. There's so many car accidents
Yes.
in this thing. I can't remember.
Well, see, I thought they tied in 2 car accident, like they tied in the 1 car accident in 2 movies, but I could be mistaken.
Probably. I mean, we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
There's just so much. There's so much. I mean, I know in 4 it has to do with the news van and again PVC pipe, but also that death was not really part of the design. It was just a random death that happened to be thrown in as, like you're saying, a red herring. So, but we'll get to 4 once we finish with 3. I don't. Yeah, I think.
The other one that repeat watchings brought to my attention. So in, I guess the premonition and eventually the actual accident on the roller coaster. Even though they were showing the leaky hydraulic line, the thing that set everything off into motion was when they went on the loop and Frankie dropped his camcorder that he wasn't supposed to have.
Right. Yeah.
Got tied up. That severed the line completely when it fell in there. Well, Frankie came off the roller coaster after the freak out.
Yeah. So how did that happen? Like.
So, and again, it's nitpicking. I get it. I'm looking for logic in something that pisses me off when people look for logic in.
Yeah.
No. That
Unless
does
that's
make
a red
sense.
herring.
Because they showed like he dropped it and it wrapped around. Then when the coaster came by, it hit that, and that's when the hydraulic line. Now, the way they were showing it about ready to go, anything could have triggered it.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
wait. Now I remember how this whole thing happened.
And because I pointed that out, and then they explained it in the movie too.
Well, I realized the whole
Yeah.
thing causes them to stop upside down, this and that, falling out, hydraulics, all that.
Mm-hmm.
But after it continues moving, it flies right back off. So technically, even though Frankie didn't do that to cause all these deaths to happen in that row,
And then also there
the
was
whole
a
thing
break
just
in the
flies
track
off.
too.
Yeah, the break in the track just has them flying right off.
I mean,
no
so
matter
many
what.
things malfunction in that there
So
could be a lawsuit in there.
well, I'm pretty sure
I'm
there
pretty
is.
sure.
either way, but because Frankie was on there, they couldn't do the elaborate death scene. It's just all right. They just went all flying off, and none of them survived.
Right.
But not in the way that they intended. With all right, this person falls first, this one hangs there, and then he gets decapitated and stupidity. So that's where that came in. So
And that was another observation I made with Frank. I hate that character, yet I'm obsessing over him too.
I know it's kind
But
of
like
weird.
Frank, all I kept thinking about was a very.
horny.
If we gotta cut it out, we gotta cut it out. A very rapey Wooderson from Dazed and Confused.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
He was like the Matthew McConaughey, the older, creepy character. Just he was far more aggressive and zero of the charm.
Well, I don't.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't think Frankie even has that in him. I think he's just like I'm acting this way, thinking this is how I get women.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Obviously, so that's basically
They go
3.
running.
Show me your titty.
Yeah. And then of course no Tony Todd in there doing his whole "I'll see you soon" things, or
Yeah.
premonitions or
Yeah,
anything.
he got his voice cameo, but
Yeah, that's about it. Like at least they kept him in somehow. That's the only thing. And then that kind of leads us into number 4.
real quick, what about the second premonition in that one?
Oh, the second. Oh, I'm trying to remember what that was.
So they get through everything, they beat death, and then they fast forward to when what's her
the
name?
premonition that actually happens.
8 seconds later.
That's right, the subway one. I'm thinking, well, isn't the point of having the premonition to not go through it?
Right.
And somebody else brought that up too. Like,
Well-
that didn't even give him a chance to escape it. But is it intended to, or is it like a glitch in the Matrix that they
I don't know.
foresee?
No,
like,
the-
do you
Tony
think they're
Todd-
seeing these things?
No, because I think Tony Todd's character did explain it in one of the movies. I forget which one.
About having an opportunity. I mean, I
yeah.
know they're always talking about seeing the signs.
Yeah, and he's
But-
like
He says that in 1 and 2, especially 2. He goes in depth with it.
he goes really in depth with it, and I think it's more or less he's just saying that death is just showing you what he's doing. That's it. and that's more powerful than you.
Well, see, to me that makes sense. It's saying, okay, try to stop me.
Right.
It's like I'm like that and like how do they choose like who is going to be the one? That's what I want to know. It's like why was Alex chosen from the first one? Why not Ali Lauder's character or Todd maybe?
Well, out of fairness, she did admit. What was it when they were talking in the garage in the first one, and she was just like, "I didn't see what you saw, but I felt it."
Yeah.
Like I just knew, and when they were doing the interrogations and all, like immediately afterwards, and they're like, well, "You had nothing to do with any of these people other than you went to the same school. Like, why did you get off?" And she's just like, "I believed them," but then she later fessed up to Alex. She's just like, "I don't know what it was, but whatever you were seeing, like I was feeling that."
Yeah.
Like, I had no doubts that you saw what you saw because I knew something wasn't right.
Yeah, because it would have been neat in the second one if she got a premonition. Did she get a premonition? No, she never got a premonition.
No, they found her. She was locked up, and she's like, "You're on your own." And 5 minutes later, she like,
dies.
"I'm gonna help you."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. She helps, but then
that kind of bugged me. Yeah. I was just happy that she had blonde hair again.
Leaving that one alone.
The brown didn't.
Yeah, but didn't she die in that movie too?
Yeah, she got blown up.
Oh
yeah.
Boy, did she get blown up.
Yeah.
she's like, I feel something. I'm like, yeah, then move.
Because I remember being disappointed seeing her like die. I was like, I wanted her to survive.
It was like you knew, like because what was it, Eugene? That I think was in the hospital at the time, and then
and she was trying to help
his
him.
oxygen line leaked or whatever. So it was like you knew he was gone, but really thought they would have just let her. Even if she didn't come back for 3, like just know what, she's been through enough.
And then the funny thing is, the whole baby was like the major red herring. It's like she never died in a car crash. So
yeah.
Why are we trying to get her to the hospital?
Consuela or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Was that?
I forget her name. She's like one of the characters you find out. Oh, she's not important. Then I don't care.
Yeah. And that was
Isabella Hudson.
Yeah, and until like the second watching, it didn't hit me like, oh yeah, like they never show her die. And
then what's her face is like, I had another premonition. Remember, and she was never like in the accident. I'm like, you couldn't remember this at the very beginning.
She was shaken up.
She was.
Is it shaken or shooked?
Shook.
She was shooked.
She was shook.
Well, as long as the baby comes out okay, it doesn't matter how she was mistreated. Anyways, so that whole thing, and then Tony Todd's, but yeah, then moving on to 4.
The final.
It was
destination.
supposed to. Well, no, was it? Yeah, It was supposed to be the final. Obviously, it's not.
Yeah.
But then again, when you think about it, the first movie's called Final Destination, yet they keep going with it. But I don't think a lot of people realize.
Yeah, but see, no, that was just a pun because they were on a plane.
Yeah, and your final destination is this. That's the whole thing. But yeah, they decide to. Yeah, and incidentally, number 3 was it really not the best one out of the series. No.
Until I remember for years everyone saying like, "Oh, you got to see 3. 3's the best one."
No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And
although 4
I
is
liked
not
it
bad.
in the context of just binging all of them, but how it's anybody's favorite, I don't quite see.
Yeah,
that.
I mean the only thing I liked out of there is probably the hardware store, and how they actually set up multiple deaths in there.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
a red herring fest. Like
Yes.
there was like 50 different things that were about ready to. And
Exactly.
that was,
And you know what? Those things that they set up in that would have been 10 times better than the death that actually happened.
I don't know.
I know, right?
Well, see, in my line of work, yeah, a good nail gun death is.
Well, yeah, that whole.
Satisfying.
I mean, that's not how those guns work, but it was still fun to watch.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can't. You look at the picture and you're like, all right, you got these things up there that are pointy. Okay, so you see those things over there. I'm like, well, it has to be those, right? No, it's these things that have nothing to look like it.
Right.
I'm like, okay. And then you got the gun. Okay. How many other things in a hardware store resembles a gun? Nail gun. It's in the name.
Exactly.
It's nothing else. There's no tape gun. It's not like she's going to tape herself to death or anything. No.
No.
So it's like, stay away from nail guns. Don't screw around with them. Why are they using them in the first place? Are they trained for that? Like
Oh,
he's
wait, yeah.
He's a
'cause
forklift
he was-
operator. Is he trained for that? Is
He was
trained
told to
for that?
get
Yeah.
rid of the pigeons.
I kind of I believe the forklift driving, because my brother, he worked for Office Max, and of course he was in the back room, and he was 16 at the time, and they had a forklift back there, and he needed to move a pallet of, I think it was copy paper, and he went to go move it, and he accidentally hit the wall.
Wait, real quick.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you something. I need you to be totally honest with me.
Yeah.
What's a pallet?
A pallet?
Never mind. Bad joke.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I can't hear pallet without thinking of that. All right. Sorry. Continue.
Went over my head.
And he was carrying paper, too, so that makes sense.
But no.
Anyways.
Jeff can explain it to me later.
That's okay. Dave's going to explain it to me because I'm blanking. I'm like, what? The only thing I'm thinking about is, did John have a CDL license or anything, or even certification to be on that machine?
He did not have any certification. They had asked him to move that pallet.
Very few people who do. They're just like, go run it.
Exactly. They tell you to do it, and
you wonder why you see those videos of people running into stuff, and the whole what is it?
Are so satisfying.
2 stories of. Shelving come falling down and paint everywhere. Oh my god.
Oh, it was funny though when he came home and told me the story, and he said, "Yeah, and I hit the wall, and they have these 2 big holes in the wall, so I took then I took the paper and I moved it right in front of the wall."
Yeah, then they moved. They're like, "Hey, where'd these come from?" Anyways, but yeah, it's just one of those things.
Rabbit beaver.
Yeah, I just found it funny that it's only those 2 at night at a hardware store, and I'm like. Doing almost all this other stuff. I'm thinking, no. Yeah. I'm like, no. Oh, I was told to get rid of the pigeons. Well, you wouldn't use a nail gun.
No, he would.
Well,
yeah.
I totally believe that he would have used a nail gun.
But why would there be a nail gun in there? That's my question. Like,
it's a hardware store.
What could you put
to
sell? Maybe, but
does he look like he had any respect for rules?
Well, true. Yeah, when you look at it that way, so. Yeah, it's just those things. Like you see it today, you'd be like, "Yeah, no." Those things are nailed down. they're chained down. You can't pick
Ironic.
them up. I know. Irony, right? Anyways, so there's just that. So yeah, the nail gun, I like that one. But
yeah, normally I'd be completely on board with all that, but for some reason that specific character, like the way they built him up, I had no problems believing any of that was going on with him behind the scenes.
So moving on to the final destination. This is now 9 years ahead. Just give it, recap.
In the timeline or release?
In the timeline.
Okay.
But in release, it's actually 3 years ahead. So, like the number 2 was 1 year. This one took place 5 years, and then this one was 8 years. So they keep pushing it. Yeah, and this starts out at of all places, a NASCAR type place because everyone loves NASCAR. Let's watch cars go around in circles. Look, a left-hand turn. Look, another left-hand turn. Wait. No crash. Another left-hand turn.
No, they were making rights.
Well, see, that's why I thought it was great
in this
because
video, they're not. They're making
people are basically watching those races for the
not this way. Anyways.
It goes like these, not like these.
And of course, I'm thinking, we're waiting for a crash, so I can see a car going into the things. But the way they did it, I'm just like, oh, okay.
Why? The biggest part that killed me with that scene, though.
What was it?
What's with the screwdriver? And I'm assuming that was a gas tank. The screwdriver that triggered everything. The pit crew, one of the pit crew guys stuck that in a hole, which I'm assuming was
something
for the
to do something, and then there's like, what?
But it was just like wiggling it. It's not even like it fit in anything. He just stuck it in there just so he could drive off. And
truthfully, we'd have, if you're a NASCAR person, I'm pretty sure anybody out there listening, maybe the one of you, that's a NASCAR fan, would understand what that tool is for and let us know what it is. That would be great.
And what its purpose was, because that was the least believable. All that destruction I could even buy, but
because
it looked like he stuck a screwdriver in a gas tank and then forgot to take it out. So.
Because to me, what would have been great, not a pit crew person causing the accident, but some dipshit in the stands, like, hey, and he
Yeah.
drops something like, maybe a quarter or something ridiculous,
Yeah.
something like, oh, look at this new brand thing I got, my Spurs or whatever, and the thing goes flying out into there and just sitting on the track, and he's like one of the people that would die, like he's the one that caused this accident. And it's something simple to blow the tire and spin out. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Not a pit person, because now here's a pit person knowing full well, hey, why don't you radio the guy and tell him there's something blah blah blah.
You got a boogie hanging.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they all had headphones, they all talked to each other, we all know this.
Instead, he just screamed, "Don't go!"
Yeah, and he just stands. You see him there. It's like, he's like,
Oh well.
well, I won't say anything and let the accident happen. So,
We'll get him next lap.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and then all that destruction happens. He's going, was that my fault? I better get the hell out of here now. I might have killed everybody here.
And
Because the driver was too like, I gotta get out of there. I'm like, dude, really?
Right.
yeah, so somebody's going down for that. The other, I think it was the second time I watched it, and it might be my favorite part of the whole movie. Did you notice when the tires squealed? I guess the what's the term? Sound effects.
Oh, the Wilhelm
Nah.
scream?
The person in charge of sound effects.
The FX person, their sound effects.
I'm
guessing you're
forgetting
thinking
the-
of a specific term.
Yeah, and I'm drawing a complete blank on it. But anyhow, I guess that's where they decide to save money. Whenever
The sound engineer you're talking about?
there's two moments where there's the one where they had the whole trip up of like the spilled oil, and the
Yeah.
guy drove through it and all, and then when he peels out then, and then I think it was another time when somebody was just making a hard turn, and you heard the tires squeal. It's a dolphin.
Oh.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
when you hear the tires squeal, you hear like I can't even do it, but it sounds
You know,
like a dolphin
you
sound
got
effect.
me wanting to look up that scene now.
I want to just rewatch it now. I want to.
Yeah.
And it's like
You know.
that alone, I could just watch even just the opening of that over and over again because you hear it's distinctly a dolphin sound. It does not sound like a tire squealing.
I know. So it's.
Although I didn't notice it till the second time around, so I guess it got past me once.
Yeah. I mean, actually, that scene actually has one of my favorite deaths in it, so I'll leave that for later. But yeah, just the overall movie is like very straightforward. There's no teenagers really. There's no real subplot. I'm trying to think. Like you get the security guard that basically kicks everybody out, including
There
the
goes
racist.
the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
When the racist
Actually,
dies, we're
I
all
l-
like, yeah.
I love that scene.
You know what? No, that wasn't a satisfying enough death, and I'm sorry. I don't. Is there anybody that racist anymore?
Yes.
Like
There's plenty of people out there, trust me.
like the whole "there goes the neighborhood" and then he starts whistling Dixie and all. It's just like, okay, he's a racist. I get it.
Yeah.
And plus the way he looked, yes, you could buy that.
And
he's
the way
a
he's
racist.
acting, you know he's going to do
But-
something dumb.
But it was like he until he died, they really drilled that point. Like they made every effort to show like this guy is racist.
Yeah,
Here
exactly.
it is.
It seemed a little too heavy-handed. And I have a major love-hate thing with who was it? Hunt. When Hunt went out, the pool,
Oh, the pool scene, that's right.
where he blew it out of his ass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
that was a very satisfying one, but on the other hand,
Very unrealistic.
like
to
for
me.
that kind of suction, well, first of all, would never achieve that. But you're telling me, with the amount of suction it took to pull him down that last foot or two,
yeah.
and to see him like nobody else swimming around felt any water movement under. Again,
Yeah, no one
I'm
sees
tearing
the
apart things that shouldn't.
Yeah. Well, where's the lifeguard that's supposed to be on duty?
I assumed he was, and he was just
Was he the
recreating.
life- Oh,
I
that's
don't
right.
know.
He was the lifeguard. That's right.
I don't know that he was. I just
I forgot.
assumed he was because he seemed to have a lot of, backdoor access or
Right.
something. Oh wait, never mind.
Black
it's
door
okay, yeah.
access.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. That he was the lifeguard. That's why no one gave a crap.
Yeah, I just assumed he was, but
But then again, after a while, you see this thing flailing in there, and it's like,
yeah, and the water was
Here we go.
definitely clear enough. Like nobody noticed someone.
yeah, way underneath. And I forget what did he? Oh, it was his lucky coin. That's right.
Yeah.
Fell in there. It's like, oh crap. I'm like, how
Right.
stupid are you?
Was it somebody hit his drink or something, which led to him dropping his coin, which of course went
rolled.
immediately down the drain, and then, I mean,
Oh, good.
Right.
technically he got it back.
Well, yeah, and it wasn't so lucky, was it? I mean, there's a lot of deaths in there that's like drawn out and then quick. Yeah. You know.
Yeah,
Which,
I thought that was a worthy.
Yeah,
death for him.
I found that thing, and it does look like just they just put a screwdriver there that they forgot about. And I think they meant to put that in there just to plug up the hole temporarily, and they were supposed to pull it out.
Oh, what hole? That was like a 4-inch opening.
I know.
yeah, I mean, he was
don't
doing
get it.
something in there to screw
Yeah.
something down. So I don't know
Yeah.
what it is. Like I said, I don't know
What they were
NASCAR in
doing.
order to.
Oh, again, all our NASCAR fans out there will.
Will let us know what that is going on. But yeah, that accident was pretty, it was pretty gnarly, but it was interesting.
Yeah, because it would have been cool, like what Frankie did with the camcorder, or something like that happened in here, where someone actually causes it, but in a way where it actually does continue on. Maybe
Yeah, not just a negligent
Yeah.
pit guy.
like
Yeah.
maybe like
Pit
he's
stop.
he's doing something and then someone bumps him and it goes out, or once his face has the premonition and then gets into this big fight and it still happens because he has the premonition.
His reaction to the premonition is what
and it
sparks.
still causes it. See, that would have been cool.
All right,
to
part
see
7.
that. Because I know. Because no matter what, like, you can't really change the premonition. Here you go. It's like, oh my God, what did I do? If I didn't do it, I wouldn't have caused it. But then again, if I did do it, it still would have happened. So it's like, gives that, oh my God, would it? Maybe?
Copyright Kryptic Soulz 2022.
I know. Yeah, Tony Todd, call us. We got your next movie.
And they focus so much on utilizing the 3D that they put nothing into the CG.
Yeah, exactly.
Like watching it just flat out like 2D, like
It's like,
bad.
Yeah, it's almost like we're watching Friday the 13th in 3D again. It's like, oh, here's a broom sticking at you. I'm like, really? That's what you went with?
Yeah.
But the fact that it was CG 3D, like I've seen Super Nintendo games with better graphics than
Yeah.
Exactly.
some of the blood and guts in this one.
Yeah. I mean, I did. They also tried to bring back, like the end premonition, too. Scene. If I remember
Oh
correctly.
yeah,
With
the escalator.
Well, no, not the escalator. With the movie theater,
Oh well, yeah,
which causes obviously the escalator, but.
because she didn't fear and respect.
I know. Here's that. Which is great. It's like, oh, yeah, see, this is why you never want to go on an escalator. But no, like, she's sitting in the audience, and it's a different character that has the premonition, which is even better. And that's what I was
Yeah.
talking about before, where why couldn't somebody else get a premonition? She gets it. It's like, we need to leave this theater now.
Because it took 4 movies for the writers to realize that.
Yeah, and it's a different writer, too, which is even better. So that's why. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And then who was it? Was Janet the Hunt's sort of kind of
fiance, I think? Or girlfriend?
the one that was supposed to go in the car wash and then ended up in a movie theater?
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
that
Was
was
that
her.
Janet? Or
I believe so, because she was supposed to have the hot wax, and they were
yeah.
the thing with her head and
But yeah.
drowning type of thing. Because that's believable.
But
Because cars are airtight like that.
oh, Charlie was so pissed watching that scene. He's just like, why doesn't she just like he had every possible escape route for her situation, and he's just, oh jeez, what's going on? Like he was well, I'm maybe exaggerating a little bit, but
Yeah,
he
it's still-
seemed like he was getting very angry at that scene.
I would have.
And he doesn't typically get angry, but he's just like, why doesn't she just do this or do this or do this?
Yeah. Why did she just open the trunk release?
But the whole idea of she just experienced that in the car wash of this whole, death's plan and all that. Like if she had any skepticism about what was going on there. You'd think that would have shut it all down. Then she's in the movie theater and kind of like, you're insane.
Yeah,
we
just
beat it.
relax.
What's
okay?
going on?
Sit down.
Sit down, Ethel.
And then what's his face comes in. It's like, we gotta leave. You're right. We gotta go. I'm staying.
I am watching this
Have fun.
movie.
Enjoy the movie. You want to know how it ends? I don't know because you blow up.
Oh, suckers.
I don't even premonition the end of this movie. That's how bad it is. Although I will give the guy the credit that he actually goes to try to stop it. And it's like everything he does is like, oh, come on. It's like he keeps making it worse and worse. And I'm like, this is going the wrong way. And then, his girlfriend still dies, right? Or is that somebody else I'm thinking of on the escalator? Oh my God.
No, that was...
Or was
That's
that
the one
the
that
friend?
ended at the coffee shop.
That's right.
And then
Okay.
Nick was like, wait, you guys ever think that maybe we didn't beat death and this is exactly where we were supposed to be right now?
Huh.
And all of a sudden,
Oh,
the trash truck, I think it was, just plowed through the side. Then they went all full Mortal Kombat on those deaths with the skeletons
Fatality. Yeah.
and all. Which I thought that was a creative way to wrap
It was pretty
it
creative.
up. Like, for the final deaths, they just,
That was
went
pretty
full
creative.
like animation for it.
Yeah. But then they had to go and do the jump scare at the end.
Yeah.
Wait, which...
Well, after the mall, in the Final Destination, the last scene, runaway semi.
Yeah, that's what I was talking
Yeah.
about. But
That's
like,
what he
when
was
it
talking
came
about.
through, then they just switched it all to the animated skeletons, and they did the Mortal Kombat style. Like, here's this skull exploding and this
which
neck.
I didn't like it all. I'm like, really?
I agree with
I thought
Steve.
that was one of the more redeeming things of that
I
movie.
don't know.
I agree with both of you. To be honest with you, I agree with Dave that it was creative and it added something, but at the same time it took something away because they did a crappy graphics job with it.
Yeah, they could have taken that money and actually put it into good effects,
Better effects.
and then just went to black.
Yeah, that's one thing I like how you reference it, like the 80s like 3D movement.
Right.
At least
Yeah.
with that, they were doing like ridiculous things and all this. But no, they had somebody actually design digitally from scratch an
All this
effect,
stuff,
and
yeah.
like this is the best you could do.
Exactly.
I mean, this was in
It's
2009.
horrible.
That's when 3D was making the big comeback.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of is, but at the same time, you see now, not really. They're like, all right, we're not going to push the 3D unless we really have to. But
Right.
that was the time. It's like, we got to convert this to 3D. We got to put this in 3D. And I'm like,
See, that's what happened. It started having to convert, and the technology is not there totally where directors are actually sometimes have their hands tied with certain things because they had to make it 3D compatible. I remember seeing a couple of behind the scenes on some movies where the director's saying, we had to change out that scene because we had to make sure it was 3D compatible and stuff like that.
'cause it wasn't working.
Yeah.
What I'm waiting for, and the big thing, is going to be the augmented reality movies. You'll be sitting there watching the movie, and they have to put this like face shield or something on so you can have this weird thing to happen.
Everybody
I'm like,
gets their disposable
"Ooh."
Oculus.
Yes, exactly.
Well, not even Oculus. What they need to do is put some kind of... Because the thing about the 3D glasses is it's all here.
Yeah, they're
But
old
yet
school
you see all...
sunglasses.
I'm like, why not make it big enough to fit on your face that you don't have this stupid outline around
Right.
your eyes so it's all believable. And then you can have augmented reality come at you. And it's like that.
That'll be the next like evolution of streaming.
Yeah, streaming or...
Because I can't
movies or
imagine letting people have the run of a movie theater is going to go.
Oh, I'm sure that it's going to be the
But
ones...
if you could screw up your house all you want, but
But
Yeah.
you're not doing that.
Yeah, it's going to be like the 3D glasses where you have to give them back at the end. Otherwise they're not worth it. But anyways,
yeah, but how many actually do?
yeah, I admit nothing.
I'm not naming names, but I specifically know someone who has quite the
collection.
healthy 3D glasses collection. Yeah, and
I took mine back. I'm
No.
like, I got the bag of 3D glasses we kept by accident.
We didn't keep them by accident. We kept them deliberately because we got a 3D TV.
Well, that was before. Then I took this huge bag back because I'm like, you know what? I paid for this. I should get to keep the glasses. And now we have a 3D.
I did that in the very
Yes.
beginning because I was, in my 30s and rebellious.
Yeah. Although I will admit,
But,
I will admit this: when they had the Star Wars 3D glasses come out and you can actually buy and take them home, I specifically got those specifically.
Yeah, my buddy did that with, I'm guessing it was Force Awakens. Yeah,
Force
bought the
Awakens, I think
special
Rogue
edition
One,
3D
2, I
glasses.
think. Yeah, so we got those. So it was
My cheap ass. I was just happy to go on opening night. I wasn't paying extra.
No,
I think I was already like $1,000 in for 2 tickets.
oh
Oh
my
wow,
probably.
God, are you serious? Wow.
He's
No.
joking.
He's joking.
There's
I'm
no
so-
$1,000. Yeah, it's late. It's late. Just shh. It's okay.
Yeah, if you believe that,
It's
I
okay,
also
hon.
I also paid over $4 a gallon for gas today.
Well,
Actually, that we believe.
I've got an electric car.
Yeah.
Stop making
joke's
fun
on
of
you.
me.
I sort of filled up the other day.
I sort of filled up.
I just couldn't finish because the guy left before I could get the rest of this gas out.
There was a leak in the hose, and I wasn't prepared to re-siphon. And
Sad part is I left my screwdriver in his car. I don't know. Oh, hey.
See, that's probably
hey,
what it was.
I made it
for.
here. Joke's on them.
No, that explains the 295 backup. There was an accident. Anyways.
So dumb.
So that's number 4 was supposed to be the final destination. Hence the reason why they put the in there because,
In a sense, it was.
why they can't just put 4? I mean, think about it. The has 3 letters. 4 is 1 character. They could have saved so much money on their posters. So that leads us into number 5. Ironically titled Destination 5. There's no there's no nothing.
Again, they don't pretend to be anything they're not.
No.
Like they have little I guess what they thought was clever twists in each of them, and some of them were, but
Yeah. Although this
also-
one had a clever twist, which I really did enjoy. But it came out
which is why I can't completely fault the Final Destination,
exactly
because in a sense it was.
I mean, it is a
Yeah.
premonition of itself, but we'll get into that in a minute. So, yeah, that came
That's
in-
a bingo.
That's a bingo.
I think you just call that bingo. All right.
Bingo.
Anyway, so that came out in 2009. This came out in 2011. So,
Starring Tom Cruise.
Yeah, probably. But this one, Glenn Morgan, James Wong, all them, nowhere in sight. I think they were just producers on it, so they're just in it for the money. This time, like I said, Stephen Quill directed, and it was Eric was the writer, and I don't think he helped out anywhere. Nope, no, he didn't. So completely brand new, and obviously they came with a different take on it. This had to do with a bridge collapse. Starts off, which to me actually was pretty cool. I actually kind of like that. Definitely made up for the NASCAR
Yeah.
scene, because this one was more believable because you got a bus going over a bridge under construction being done. It's like, really?
Yeah.
That even as a kid, for some reason, that was always like I was never afraid of bridges, but every time I've ever been on a bridge, I always think, what if a section just fell out?
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it wasn't under construction, which most bridges I go over are under some kind of construction anymore. But
Yeah.
like I said, even when I was young, like I had no reason. It was just a random thought that would always pop into my head. Like, what if a section just fell out and just.
Wow.
The funny thing
That's
about it though
crazy.
is, like, when a bridge is under construction like that, usually they'll divert traffic to the other side,
Right.
split the oncoming traffic in half.
No, but then the movie won't happen.
Well, I know, that's
but,
what I mean.
No, but whenever they do that, I feel that all the weight's going to be on this one side of a bridge that obviously is structurally unstable to begin with. But I always had a feeling. I was frightened going over bridges, especially if you ever been on Paco on the train going into Philly.
That never fazed me.
On
bridge
the edge of the bridge, because it has you right on outside of the bridge, and
Oh,
so if you're sitting on one side of the train, you can feel like you're gonna fall right into the ocean, into the Delaware.
Oh no, it absolutely should freak me out, but it never does. In fact, I need a window seat in order to go over the bridge.
Well, the one thing I liked about this one, the opening scene, is that when he gets the premonition, they're already at a stop. He's like, I got to get off the bus. Something's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. So when they're standing outside, that's when the accident actually happens. They're still in the middle of it. So they have to escape the accident. It's not like the other ones where they leave and then stuff hits the fan.
Yeah, they got like a 30-second head start.
Exactly. I mean, they tried to do that in with the Raceway a little bit, but to me, it didn't really work.
Yeah.
But this one, I think they finally nailed it. Where run, we have to get out, and then now you're trying to figure out, the pattern, like who died first, who died what, like in what order and stuff.
Right.
So it does add a little bit of, shake me up within this, which I thought was really cool. And then they get out and all that, and and for those that haven't seen it, obviously it's an office retreat for a weekend. One of those
On so many levels.
Yeah, I know, right? You still got the slutty people and everything, and then you got the busybody and the brown noser, and then you got the drunk the boss that thinks he's Mr. Cool, but he's not. So he just acts like a jerk.
Are you talking about Todd Packer running a paper company?
I know, isn't that kind of ironic when you think about it?
And not only that, but then you also had asshole Roy in the warehouse of the paper company.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, did I read too into that?
Nope. You're there.
You were there.
That's all I could think of. Well, between that and Peter being played by Tom Cruise. I'm sorry, that was Tom Cruise.
No, it was Tom. He wasn't in this movie, was he?
No,
but the
but
guy who played him.
It just acted a lot like him.
That's all I saw was Tom Cruise.
Oh wow! I'm gonna have
was
to.
it Miles Fisher? I think played him.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look at that because I'm like, I don't see it, but okay.
The bestie, the
Yes.
best friend.
Oh, is it because he smiles all the time?
No, just his face looks like Tom Cruise.
And his haircut.
I'll have to rewatch it again and check. I did not see Tom Cruise at all. So, sorry.
Then again, I tend to see a lot of things that aren't there, but yeah, that
No.
I couldn't unsee. And then you had Isaac, who was essentially, again, the slightly more aggressive George Costanza.
So I also like the fact they brought the police investigation back in. With like, all right, how does he know the bridge is going to collapse and this and that and all that? So then you got the boss like, yeah, I'm trying to help out. This is so and so Tango, whatever. That we don't use code names here. Oh.
I found that funny. Like, see, that's part of the stuff that made me laugh.
And that's anything with David Koechner in it. Like, to me, that's just a selling point anymore. If he's in a movie, I will watch it because he kind of always plays the same character, but just slightly different.
Well, what's pretty cool about that movie is, okay, so everybody knows. I'm going to spoil alert.
Are you going to spoil the whole thing for everybody?
Yes, I am.
Don't do it.
In case somebody just woke up from an 11-year coma.
That was gonna die anyway.
Went into that coma like 5 minutes before the movie started.
Exactly.
Well, before you get there, obviously I want to say this is also a return for Tony Todd, who came back. I'm trying to. He was in the Final Destination too, right? He made an appearance, I think.
Think so.
I'm trying to remember.
If he was, it was it was probably his briefest.
He did because that's when they introduced him as the coroner, and then this one he was definitely the coroner in this one.
Yeah, because he was at the funeral.
Yeah.
For the rich people and all that.
For
It's like, hey,
no reason.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
happens.
There's no
to be
reason
there.
to be at the funeral other than death
You know-
doesn't like to be cheated.
The only reason why they did that is because they had to have a reason for him to be seen, and then they have to go talk to him.
Right.
I mean, that's why he was.
I could see at the hospital when they saw him later and all, but
Yeah.
for him to just be like hanging. Oh, don't get me wrong, I love
Yeah.
seeing his face on the screen.
Well, I like the fact that they also allude, because his words were exactly this. It's like, I've seen this happen to other young people before. And I'm thinking, that's kind of ominous to say this has happened before and that's why he's following this.
Right.
But then after that, he doesn't follow it anymore. Just after 2, it's like, okay, but he misses 3. He kind of shows up in 4, and then 5.
At that point, I think it was these kids will never learn.
Oh. But that's the thing. It's not even kids. It's actual adults. So
All right,
it's
these
not even,
people will never.
Yeah, the high school kids, like they moved away from that diatrope. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice that he alludes to the other films, which is great. Wink, wink.
Right.
And I think this is where Meg wants to pick up
Well,
on
I
it.
wanted to pick up on the fact that, yes, spoiler alert, this movie turns out the twist is that the movie was a prequel to the first one. And at the end, and it ends with them on the plane. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because it's funny, you see 180 throughout the whole movie, too. Subtly done, not like in your face.
Which, I was going to say, which they didn't quite do as much since,
Well, see, that was my point with bringing that whole thing up, is actually nowadays, I feel bad for spoiling it, because if you were to watch it now, if you haven't ever watched it, it's really hard for you to pick up that it's a prequel, because of the technology and stuff that they use is still in the past in our minds.
Yeah, like the phones and everything.
Yeah.
Like
But if you
I never
notice-
really noticed that.
But
Like,
actually, Meg picked up on that. It's like,
Yeah.
why are they still using a flip phone? Isn't this like past 2011?
even the style was closer to.
Yeah, it's like
Right.
2000. It's only 11 years, but this takes place 8 years after well, technically right before the first one. So
Right.
It was the Rogue One of Final Destination.
yeah, it's the point. But
Basically.
so when Tony Todd says I've seen this before, and I'm thinking, okay, so this is now before the first film, before this film. So there's been other stuff like this, other stories.
And I feel like somewhere in the first two, I could be wrong. Maybe I was just assuming that happened, or maybe it's because I've seen 5 so many times now.
Right.
But I feel like there was a reference to maybe this is something that was going on before Alex.
Yeah.
I mean the Tony Todd's character does kind of allude to it in the first one, talking about Death's design and stuff like that. So he knows there is something,
Right.
but he doesn't come up right out and say like, yeah, but he does say like, follow the signs,
Right.
And it's funny, like with each movie, he has like different theories.
Yeah.
Like the first
Yeah.
one, I thought was the best. It was just straight up like, try to figure out what the design is and everything. And
Yeah, you might be
and
able to
two, it was like, but you know what? If maybe there was life created that wasn't supposed to be, then then that's how you beat it.
That
And now
might
in
be
this
good.
one, it's just kind of like, or you could just kill someone and swap places. Like
Yeah.
if you murder someone, they could take your place and you'll take theirs.
you get the remainder of their life,
Which is
was also
funny.
a punchline
which
later.
which in this one they try to do, but at the same time they find out, that person was going to die anyway. Oops.
Like, he
Yeah.
was going to die any day now.
Yeah.
What?
But here's a theory I had
Right.
that's really interesting. So these guys, they beat death. They save themselves from the bridge. Now they're on flight 180. Now death puts them on there because that plane is going to
Right.
explode. So I'm thinking, does this mean that death knows exactly, like way ahead, like how these people are going to die for him to get these people to that location?
Right.
And then these people have a premonition. And at the same time, don't you think when the dude is on the plane going, this plane's gonna blow up,
Yeah.
you would hear that and go, oh shit, maybe we should get off too?
I just
there was
assume they
plenty
were
of time.
kind of in their own world at that point. Like, I almost feel like the way it was presented
Yeah.
Yeah, but
was
they were
kind
so
of like their
close.
tunnel vision, because they were just getting, when they came on, the rest were just getting thrown off the plane. But as far as what led to that scuffle,
Well, they
like
sat
that,
down
'cause then-
and saw the scuffle, and that's when you realize what's going on.
and then they were, and then
Yeah,
like
but-
when just as they're getting ready to take off, you hear someone say, "Oh, what was all that about?" Oh, some kid said they saw a vision. At that point, he was just like at that
Yeah.
point, the plane was already like on
In
its
the
way
air.
out.
Yeah.
I would have been running up and just grabbing that door and yanking it open. Or,
Where's them parachutes?
exactly.
Or at that point, you just take your chances and hope you're over a river. At that point,
Exactly.
That means it took place in 2000, so technically you could bust into the cabin and it's like, stop the plane!
That's true too.
Yeah.
And of all the visionaries of the movies, Sam really pissed me off. Like in the beginning, like even as mostly at the funeral. Like, I would have believed he had something to do with the accident, even though there was no reason for him to be involved with it. But like at the funeral, he comes walking up to the group and they're like, "Oh, so
so what happened? He's just like, well, you talked to the cops. The cops said that it was an accident. And it was just like, they were just holding a conversation with him, and he kept giving these like answers, like partially what he was saying, and then partially his tone of like, I had nothing to do with it. It was just a freak accident, and like,
Which
like,
is
dude,
funny.
chill.
Yeah. Which is funny because we saw that it was the idiot, saw into the thing, and the thing just started cracking on him.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, but isn't there rebar in there? Technically, that's the whole reason why the rebar's in there, is to hold it together, even if it does crack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Now I'm really nitpicking. It's like what we try not to do is just enjoy the movie. They're gonna die. Okay, let's see how many times they can die.
Yeah.
All the interests and deaths throughout the entire series, which is a good segue.
And then, what was it? Okay, three more things
Okay, go ahead.
that
Yeah.
We got time.
again, there was like rewatching going on, but one of the things I did like was the character Peter, like the best friend and all.
Yeah.
I thought that was probably the best character as far as like actually watching his whole like decline. His like like in the beginning, it was just like, I lost my girlfriend, and like he was all messed up, and just like.
Becoming a psychopath almost.
I think I've said this a bunch of times in a bunch of different reviews and all, but I'm not saying it's the same as The Shining, but you kind of got that mental like breakdown throughout the movie where it was just like, this really sucks. And he was
Dear
dealing with the
Sammy.
anger. Yeah, and then like by the end of it all, he just went full on the like, all right, you know what? Nah, I'm killing everybody because
Yeah,
I lost my girlfriend. But I thought it came off kind of naturally for a Final Destination movie.
Truthfully, yeah, something like that would probably drive you nuts when you think about it. Cause
Yeah,
Right.
and then when you got some random coroner saying like, well, if you take a life,
yeah.
like to me that would have just like I thought he was kind of an asshole of a character, but I did understand why he made the decisions he did.
Yeah.
Like I didn't necessarily fault him for it. Another one, because I started watching like a few other reviews and all, the whole thing with I forget her name, the who went in for the laser surgery.
Oh, that would have been from
Yeah.
number 3? No.
No,
number,
it
number
wasn't
2, right?
this one.
It was
Yeah.
number 2.
But-
Wait, was it in this one?
Yeah.
So she goes
Okay,
in for
yeah.
because she was upset because, like, I guess her necessity for glasses, like
That's
she,
right,
She
yeah.
feels like it was almost, and then she pulled the whole Velma thing on
Yeah.
the bridge. Where are my glasses?
That's right.
But when she goes in for the surgery, going and then all the weird things happen and all
The
that. And all of a
birds,
sudden she gets burned in her eyeball, and then it charges up again. She puts her hand up, burns her hand and everything, and then she trips, falls, lands on the car and everything. Boom, eyeball pops out. I've heard people say, "Oh, where's the burn marks
Oh my god.
from the eye when it rolls right up in your face and everything?" So I figured, you know what? Let me go back and watch it like slow-mo and everything. Let's just make sure,
Right.
because who knows? It could have been the other eye that fell out. So I went and played it frame by frame, and it does look like it was the burned eye that fell out. That was not burned. While watching this frame by frame, I did realize, though, that the fake eyeball, the pupil dilated right before the car crushed it. So they didn't keep the continuity of the laser burns through the
Throughout
eyeball, but they did go through the effort, or maybe it would have obstructed the effect. Because if you're looking, even if you watch at regular speed, you do see it. This slightly dilates right before it gets crushed.
Yeah. That they should have done the other eyeball to. That's probably what they were trying to do. Is
Yeah,
that,
I mean, it was
don't do this
so-
one. Make sure it's the right one. And you have the script person over here. Yeah, it's the left one. It's fine. You're
Well-
good. Yay.
And she was so in the background, plus was out of focus at that point. But it didn't look like there was any damage to the unburned eye. Both eyes were closed, but it did look like the one side, the proper side, was all screwed up, as if an eyeball could have fallen out of that.
Yeah.
Well, what it is with the laser eye surgeries, the laser is calibrated before they even start, and they calibrate it. They actually do calculations
And I heard there's so many like safety
extreme-
functions, like it
Yeah,
would never get to that point.
It'll never get to that point because.
But
there's
this is Final
extreme-
Destination, where a bird's going to cause it to do that no matter what.
Well, no, like if
No, much like most of the deaths, water caused.
Yeah.
and so
It's a lot of water related.
But I do listen to Meg because she's worked with lasers, so.
Well, that's what brought me out of. Actually, that's why I stopped following it through. I was going to sit there and plug away with it, and then I found out if I, with laser technicians, they work in doctors' offices and stuff like that. Now, I did find out that a lot of doctors do rely on the technician to calibrate the
Machine properly.
and those calculations are extremely precise. To the point
That's why
where
I would never do that.
yeah, that's why I didn't want to
I
do
would
it.
be
I was
like
like,
a hundredth of a whatever off.
That's why I want to work
Yes.
with sharks, and then I don't have to worry about calibration.
exactly,
I
and
think I
that's
could do that.
Freaking laser.
and yet, and in each person, the calibration can be different. And these doctors are just letting their technicians do it all on their own, supervisor. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's the
That's
kind of.
not-
I don't need that kind of
I
responsibility.
don't exactly. And
So, what technician has to use the space lasers then? Like, how do they calibrate those? That's what I'm curious about. Do they have to go up
I,
there?
I
physically
know
do
a
it, or
guy
can
who
they
studies
do it?
that stuff.
Yeah. So.
The last thing, it was a very meta thing. It was actually the last time I was watching. I'm like, how did I not pick up on this before? So again, David Koechner, he plays the boss Dennis in this, and
Right.
playing the kind of boss that you would expect David Koechner to play.
Naturally.
He doesn't know anybody, so you got the main character Sam that he always calls Stan, no matter how much he. In fact, the one time he's like, "Oh, it's Sam." So, did you just correct me? And in a very his own kind of way and all. However, so he's calling him Stan instead of Sam. So now we get to the end with the little twist that it becomes Flight 180 from the first movie, in which you see Devon Sawa getting escorted off the plane.
Yeah.
Who, in the Eminem video, played Stan.
Oh wow.
Yes, I need a life.
We're going to leave this one alone.
So was that intentional? Or?